Om, in the light of our core theme of the title, that the understandings that we draw from the great masters, the exalted ones of the ancient times, are immutable, cannot be refuted. These are the experiences that they have gathered in the journey within, in the dimension of consciousness, whereby they explore their own individuality as a matter of research into consciousness. The observations that surface were then given to us as an endowment that was bequeathed upon us as the Upanishadic wisdom. And to support this understanding today, I take a mention from Mandukya Upanishad, one of the smallest in numbers. It has only 12 mantras, and we directly go to the mantra 3 that you find its mention in Sanskrit right on the screen. Jagrat sthano bahish pragyah saptang ekon vishanti mukha sthul bhuk veshvanarah pratham padaha. Reverse engineering, the objective of reverse engineering is to travel from without to within. Although in consciousness we also have a manner in which we traverse within to without. But here in Mandukya Upanishad, the journey starts from without to within. In Mandukya Upanishad, it comes as a mention at the outset that the human consciousness is expressed in 3 forms as an awareness. And the awareness, the modifications that the consciousness has to come under in its own expressive form. Otherwise, the consciousness as such is indivisible, beyond any change, beyond any modification. But like it is with the sun rays, when they fall out of the sun, they have their own individual existence and its journey. Likewise is the human awareness. When it comes out of the consciousness, it undergoes modifications. 3 modifications have been brought to the notice in Mandukya Upanishad, namely the vacant state, the dream state, the dreamless. Although there is a mention of the 4th as an indication, not explicitly mentioned by name. The name is probably drawn from some other Upanishad, that is the 4th dimension, Turiya, which is beyond, which in fact informs us about the true consciousness, the true self. So the self has its 3 expressions as modification, namely the vacant state, the waking state, the dream state, and the dreamless state. Jagrat, Swapana, Sushupti. And the Jagrat, the waking state, is the outermost, the most gross. And this mantra talks about that waking state. How the business of a human in its gross form is dispensed in this world on the gross plane. Now, once you listen to me, then the contemplation should also equally begin. The beauty of the ancient Indian wisdom and its understanding shall only usher its way when we follow a small tradition of Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhi, Dhyasanam. Shravanam, you are in a study, you are listening to me or reading something. Manan is the contemplation thereafter, whereby you may pause the video in between and then again contemplate to find the facts that have been mentioned here. And once you have undergone the contemplation, whatever the conclusion thereafter shall be, shall ground in the depths of your understanding. Here it talks about the outermost layer of the awareness, the Jagrat, the waking state. Bahish Pragya, Jagrata Sthana, the outermost. It conveys that when we transact outward, there are six major organs to that. I'm giving it a word organ from the Anga. It can be termed as the body part, but I'm giving it just a name which we can ascribe to as seven organs. And those seven organs have got 19 openings through which it conducts its business. What are those seven organs that I'm referring to? Like the human parts of the body, namely, we have a head, we have a face, we have the chest, stomach, and then down below. Likewise, seven organs or seven parts of the existence that is required to transact with the world outside. What are those seven? Those seven have been termed as the heavenly abode, which in fact refers to the subtle dimensions, the unseen dimensions of existence. Then it indicates the sun, which informs it about the core source of the energy that this entire existence draws for all of its functions. And thereafter, the remaining five are the five main elements. When this constitution it comes together as an entity, then it becomes a saptanga, which means seven organs or seven parts. Now, how do these seven parts interact with the world outside? They need an opening, they need windows. Any organization which may have different departments and wings in itself, but for those wing or department to interact for different dispensations of business outside, it needs different windows. So, likewise, there are 19 windows, 19 openings through which the major transaction is dispensed of this entity. What are those 19 ones? The 19 are five the knowledge oriented sensory organs. Knowledge oriented sensory organs. The eyes, the taste, the smell, the word, the touch, etc. And what else? Then there are five which are action oriented sensory drivers. So, likewise, there are five knowledge oriented and five action oriented. In action oriented, do not forget that excretion and procreation also form as two major. The remaining you can very well decipher within yourself. So, five knowledge oriented sensory organs, drivers, five action oriented sensory organs, drivers. I'm mentioning driver word specifically, makes them 10. Then there is five modifications that energy undergoes within this human existence. What are those five energy? The prana. The prana has got its five different functions that it has to dispense in different forms. Pancha prana. We teach this subject separately in a different study, but here, not to mention much in detail, let us understand it thickly. Electricity in the physical form, as we understand, is AC and DC, the alternate and the direct. Whereas in the human body, to dispense different kind of functions, we need five different kinds of prana, the electricity within, and they are termed as pancha, mahaprana or prana. They also have five subordinate pranas that assist these main five ones to execute their functions. But we will only factor the five. Five knowledge oriented sensory organs slash drivers, five action oriented sensory organs slash drivers, five prana And the remaining four are the instruments that functions different aspects with the awareness, like mind, intellect, chitta, and ego. I must use this term ego very carefully because the general connotation of the ego is highly inflated individuality, trying to superimpose its existence. Whereas, in true sense, ahankar, that is ego in the pure sense, means isness. I exist. I am. That is aham akar. So these are four. The mind is there, wherefrom the urge arises. The intellect is to discern different kinds of facts. Chit is there, the storehouse of different propensities and memories. And ego, the last hinge, whereupon the remaining four remain tied, the isness, ahankar. So in total, they become 19. Seven main organs with 19 windows through which sthul book, one who has to experience, one who has to conduct upon this gross mortal plane, is termed here as Veshwanaraha. Veshwanaraha. So, Veshwanara is the base whereupon this Nara is supported. The base that supports the existence of the Nara here is meant as Veshwanara. There are other names also that are given to this particular plane of existence, of awareness, but I will not go into that. Enough has already been borrowed from Chandogya Upanishad, because here we find only indications. There is no number and detail for the Saptang, and neither we find those 19 names that we have taken up here as the 19 openings. The reference is drawn from different Upanishads wherein they have been brought as mention in different kind of citations. So, in this verse, it talks about the human existence. We are considering the human existence majorly, although it does not confine only as being the human. It encompasses into itself all beings, but we factor it human because when we have to trace the veracity of the information, then we might also explore our own self and would like to ascertain the facts within our own self. Which are those seven parts within us? Where are those 19 openings within us? What functions do we dispense through them? And it is a fact. Is there something else also that we behold and does not find its mention over here in this particular mantra? Because our own understanding may challenge, may come up with something different, come up with something new, something which has not been brought to our notice over here. It may happen so. That is the purpose of contemplation, mananam. Shravanam is one sided. I'm merely saying something and you're listening with all sincerity. But it does not end there. You have to explore within yourself to find out that the most outward part of your awareness, termed here as Jagrata, how does it transact with the world outside? Is there something else which has been missed by the exalted one, which is not included in the mantra? If it is so, let it come to my understanding. So remember Saptang and Ekona Vishanti Mukhaha, the seven organs, the seven parts with 19 windows. This awareness in its outermost layer, known as the Jagrata, executing its function on the gross plane, dispenses its all functionalities through them. So, I end this mantra with this small introduction over here. More shall continue upon the other two parts, that is the Swapna and Sushupti, in the videos that will go live tomorrow and thereafter. Enough for the day. To communicate with me, I will leave the email in the description. If you feel like, you may ask me any question in regards to the understanding. that has been bestowed today. Om Shanti.